and yet you did. And what you did was expose the church. You just exposed the church to the world for what you are. You're picking and choosing. You do what you want, and you go ahead and say that's what God says. Hello, everybody. My name is Craig Dickerson. I'm the president of Fishing for a Change, Retreat for PTSD Relief for service members and first responders. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about religion. I talk about it extensively in my book, Diagnosis Psychotic Through God's Evil White Wormhole. Basically, all of my life, I've been abused, or basically in my youth, I was really abused. And, I fought with religion about it a lot because it was one of those things where I didn't understand if God was so powerful, why he would let this kind of stuff happen to me. And so I've fought with that most of my life. And a lot of the things that I came to, understand or, try to come to grips with was there's a lot of things in religion that doesn't necessarily relate to God or Jesus or anything. It's just their own, doctrine. And the reason I bring it up today is because of what happened to President Trump and Vice President Vance and that whole congregation when that bishop stood up in front of them and lectured them on morality and what they should be doing in a position of authority. And what's really troubling to me is, why would she be standing up there, allowed to stand up there in a position of authority and lecture someone from a doctrine that says specifically that women should be silent in church? It's right in the Bible. 1 Corinthians 14, chapter 32, 33, or 34. Women should be silent in the church. It says that right in the Bible. I'm not even going to get into the other parts of the stuff that she was trying to bring forth as something that is moral, because in the Bible it says that is not moral either. So the picking and choosing out of a doctrine and then calling yourself an authority, that doesn't wash with me. Either you use the doctrine and you call that the truth and you stick to it, or you have nothing to say to me, basically. And yet she still stood up there in front of the whole world and lectured President Trump after he's gotten a mandate from the American people to do certain things. You might not like it. You might not like it. But you don't have a right to stand up there and lecture that man. And yet you did. And what you did was expose the church. You just exposed the church to the world for what you are. You're picking and choosing. You do what you want, and you go ahead and say that's what God says. You read my book. I get busy with you people. I'll stand up. I tell you what, you pick the four sharpest of you suckers you can find. We'll meet somewhere in an auditorium, and I'll get busy with you. I'll have you people picking your hats up off the floor. You people are really sick if you think that's what is okay in the world, for you to sit around and say that that's moralistically okay and that's something that he should be doing. You're convoluting two things there. Jesus was okay with it. Jesus was like a cool cat, right? Whatever, man, let's get busy, right? He was okay with it. He was not okay with the church. He was not okay with religion. It was very evident. He went in there and stomped around and kicked the walls. Everybody could see it, right? He was not okay with that. The church sucks, but if you're going to stand up there in a position of authority, you need to follow the authority doctrine that gives you that authority. And if you don't, you really need to be held accountable as somebody that doesn't know what you're talking about. You're just fitting your agenda into the story. And that's not the way the world works. You can try to make it work that way, and maybe the next generation will fall for it. But my generation, myself, a veteran, listening to you direct to my president something that's absolutely asinine, I'm not going to stand by and take it. Ma'am, you need to back your words up and sit down and shut up if you're in a churchly matter, because that's what your doctrine says. So, my nonprofit is Fishing for a Change. We do retreats for PTSD relief for service members and first responders. If you've got some kind of cause you want to bring forth, ma'am, why don't you bring forth the 22 veterans a day that commit suicide? Why don't you go around trying to fix that instead of trying to elevate your LGBTQ agenda? Why don't you do something that Jesus told you to do and go out and serve? How is doing what you just did the other day serving? Jesus gave you exact instructions. Go out and serve. Stand up there and lecture is not what he said. That's what Saul said. You want to follow Saul? That's the wrongest thing I've ever seen in my life. And were I there, I'd have stood up and told you so. Right to your face in the middle of church, because I don't have any respect for that place. I have respect for God. I have respect for Jesus. And me and God have our own relationship. Me and Jesus have our own relationship. And for you to stand around and tell us how to live our lives unmoralistically off of a doctrine that does not exist, by golly, I think you need to rethink your thought process. So like I said, my book talks about religion a lot. Please purchase the book. The benefits, proceeds from the book benefit our nonprofit, Fishing for a Change. And we really could use the support. If you guys like what I had to say today, if you don't like what I have to say today, please go ahead and comment down below. We'll have a conversation. I don't mind having a conversation with anybody. I'll talk to anybody about anything. It doesn't bother me. I'm not scared. I'm not worried. I have the views what I have because of the experiences that I've gone through in my life. And if you've walked my steps, and if you read my book, and maybe you'll have a little better understanding of how I got to the views that I have and why it really, really annoys me a lot that this happened the other day. And especially when it comes to religion. You guys are really screwed up in the head if you think you can go around telling people how to live their lives. Man, especially if you don't follow the rules. The rules are right there. I've read them. Have you? Evidently not. All right, until next time, the world is a better place with you in it. Make a difference.